Welcome back to English Classes Online. I am Benjamin. Today's video is about 22 common grammar errors in English. Learn to speak and write English correctly. If you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe to the channel by clicking on the subscribe button below. Click on the bell icon as well so that whenever a new video is uploaded on the channel, you will be instantly notified. Without much ado, let's dive into the lesson. To communicate accurately and effectively in any language requires adequate knowledge of the rules that govern the use of that language. English is certainly not an exception. As a matter of fact, anyone who desires to gain proficiency in the use of English ought to learn English grammar. This is because learning English grammar is learning the rules that govern the use of English. There is no doubt that most of the errors committed by the majority of English speakers are attributable to poor grammar or inadequate knowledge of the rules that govern the use of English. In this video, we shall be examining some of the common grammar errors that people commit in their attempt to use language in communicating their thoughts. So we are going to look at 22 grammar errors that people commit, and by looking at these grammar errors, we learn how to speak and write English correctly. The first one is subject and verb agreement. This is where a lot of grammar errors are committed. For example, they enjoys home videos. This is incorrect. Can you actually analyze this sentence and tell us why it is correct? I mean, why it is incorrect? They enjoys home videos. The correct thing is they enjoy home videos, because they is a plural subject. They refers to two or more. And so if you are conversant with the rule of concord, specifically the subject-verb agreement, you will understand that a singular subject requires a singular verb, but a plural subject requires a plural verb. So here, they is a plural subject and enjoys is a singular verb. That is what makes it incorrect. In this case, we have to make the verb plural in order to agree with the plural subjects. And so the correct thing is they enjoy home videos. Then the second example, Mommy and Junior is going to the market. Now a similar thing applies here. Mommy and Junior constitute a plural subject, and is a singular verb. So we have to pluralize the verb to make it agree with the plural subject. And what we have is Mommy and Junior are going to the market. Mommy and Junior, plural subject, are plural verb. All right. So with this, you can look at other errors when you find them, especially when the subject-verb agreement is violated. There are, of course, other rules of concord which you can find in a video I earlier uploaded, which is on the 25 rules of Concord. The 25 rules of Concord. You will find a video on this channel. Number 2, wrong use of tenses. For example, I visited grandma yesterday. Now you can see that the verb visit is in the present tense, while the action being reported here took place in the past. When you use the present tense in reporting a past action, it becomes incorrect. So how do we correct it? We have to, make the verb past. We have to use the past tense of the verb visit. And what we have here is what? I visited grandma yesterday. That's correct. Another example, I will go to the filling station and bought fuel. You see, here we are breaking one of the rules of sequence of tenses, because here we have a main clause and a subordinate. Of course, we have two main clauses here, and the first clause has the future tense of the verb. I will go to the filling station. And then the other one has a past tense, and that is where it is wrong. The correct thing is I will go to the filling station and buy fuel. All right, so a mixture of the present and past tenses makes your sentence incorrect. When you use a present or future tense in one particular clause, it has to be followed with a present tense in the second clause. There's a video I have uploaded on the sequence of tenses. You will find a link to that video in the description section. You will also find a link to the other video about the 25 rules of Concord in the description section. Just click on the link and you'll be able to watch the video and discover the various rules that govern sequence of tenses, and in the other case, the 25 rules of Concord, including the subject-verb agreement and other rules, up to 25 of them. Number 3, the omission of the possessive apostrophe and s. This kind of error is common, especially among primary and secondary school students. And of course, a lot of people who, of course, didn't have the privilege of being well tutored in the English class. Now, for example, my uncle car is red. This is incorrect, because here, what the intended meaning here is possession. The car that belongs to my uncle is called my uncle's car, not my uncle's car. So the correct thing is my uncle's car is red. So whenever you want to indicate possession, then you need the apostrophe and the s. Now, the fourth one is using double negatives. It's an error that occurs as a result of using double negatives. For example, she doesn't know nobody in this town. Of course, you may hear some people use such expressions in informal conversations, but it is completely incorrect in terms of grammar. She doesn't know nobody in this town. So doesn't is negative, nobody is negative. That's what we call double negatives. Now we have to eliminate one of the negatives. She doesn't know anybody in this town. That's the correct version. Then the second example, I don't want no drink. You know, I don't is negative, no is negative. So we have to eliminate one of them. I don't want any drink. I don't want any drink. All right. Number 5, misuse of homophones or words with similar sound. Now, this is also a frequent or a common error. For example, there is no one in the house, and you can see the spelling of there here, T-H-E-I-R. This actually is a possessive adjective. When you want to talk of something that belongs to them, then you say it is their house. But when you want to say there is no one in the house, it is T-H-E-R-E. All right, so a lot of errors are committed as a result of similarity in sound, which we call homophones. Now, this is incorrect. The correct version is T-H-E-R-E. There is no one in the house. Now, there are other homophones such as sight, C-I-T-E, and sight, which has to do with seeing. The other sight has to do with a building site or a project site, but this one has to do with seeing. Then we also have sight. Of course, this site is the one for building, S-I-T-E. Then this C-I-T-E is like when you want to cite an example, all right? So the three of them are homophones. They sound alike, cite, 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 but they are different words, all right? Then we have decent and we have decent, D-E-C-E-N-T and D-E-S-C-E-N-T. You know, they are different words, but they sound alike. Then we have the third one, which is decent, D-I-S-S-E-N-T. Then we have loose and lose, all right? L-O-O-S-E and L-O-S-E. You see this, the one with double O is an adjective, and then the one with single O is a verb. When you lose your money, it is L-O-S-E, and it is pronounced with Z, while the other one is pronounced with S. It's loose. Then the other one is lose. You lose your money, but something can be loose, all right? Then you have plain and plain, P-L-A-I-N and P-L-A-N-E. They are homophones. Then we have peace and peace, P-E-A-C-E and P-I-E-C-E, and so on and so forth. So take note that these are homophones, and they should not be confused with each other. Then number 6, misuse of subject and object pronoun. This is also another source of grammar errors among English speakers and writers. For example, this is the man with who I traveled to Asaba last week. You see, you can only use who, W-H-O, when you are talking about the doer of an action, you know, or as a subject. But here it is intended as an object. And whenever WHO has to come after a preposition, it must be WHOM. With whom, to whom, for whom, with whom, all right? So it is incorrect to say this is the man with who I traveled to Asaba last week. No. You can say this is the man who traveled with me to Asaba last week, who traveled with me. But when you say with whom, it is with W-H-O-M. All right? You can find a video I uploaded giving detailed explanation about the uses of who and whom. All right, how to improve your grammar, who versus whom. Then the second example is, this is the man, which of course this is the correct version now, not the second example. This the correct version of the other one. This is the man with whom I traveled to Asaba yesterday. So whenever you use this relative pronoun after a preposition or as an object, then it must come with whom. All right. Number 7, using run-on sentences. You know, run-on sentences are sentences that are made to, stand without being well punctuated or connected with conjunctions, and that amounts to ungrammaticality. Let's see the first example here. Raina is a good girl. She obeys her parents. You can see Raina is a good girl. There should be either a full stop here or a semicolon because there is a pause. So, and then we are starting a new idea or a new thought. Raina is a new girl. We have completed that first thought or idea. She obeys her parents is a different thought altogether. So when it is left like that without being punctuated and without being connected with a conjunction, it is called a run-on sentence. To correct it, we have to use either punctuation or conjunction. And if we use a punctuation, we say Raina is a good girl, semicolon, she obeys her parents. All right. Then the second one, the thief tried to escape the shop owner. The thief tried to escape. The shop owner saw him. You see here we see two different sentences. What should be two different sentences or two different main clauses, joined together without any punctuation and without any conjunction. This is what is called a run-on sentence, and it is a grammatical error. To correct it, we punctuate it or we use the appropriate conjunction. Now the correct version will be, the thief tried to escape, but the shop owner saw him. All right, so the first one, which is wrong, is the thief tried to escape, the shop owner saw him. This is incorrect because it's a run-on sentence. So whenever you find a run-on sentence, you will be able to correct it either using the appropriate punctuation mark or the appropriate conjunction. Now, number 8 is comma splice. This is using a comma in an inappropriate manner, where we should probably use a full stop, then we use a comma. All right, and that makes it grammatically incorrect. For example, she didn't have enough money, comma, however, she paid half of the rent. You see, she didn't have enough money makes a complete thought. There is supposed to be a complete pause there. We can use a semicolon in an expression like this. So you can see the correct version. She didn't have enough money, semicolon. However, comma, she paid half of the rent. So, this is the way to write. And here we are dealing with writing skills. We are also dealing with orthography. Orthography. Orthography is the science of writing. When we write, we use symbols, we use signs, and we use punctuations, we use capitalization. And if you want to be a good writer, you ought to always use these punctuation marks. All right. So let's now go to number 9. Well, it appears there is a mix-up here, but here we have number 9. Wrong use of capital or small letters. For example, John wasn't at the seminar. But here, what makes it incorrect is that John is written with small letter J, and that makes it incorrect because 1, John is the first word in this sentence, and as a rule, the first word in a sentence should begin with a capital letter, and that is the orthographic definition of a sentence. Orthographically, a sentence is a group of words that begins with a capital letter and ends with an end mark, which could be a full stop, a question mark, or an exclamation mark. So to correct this, we simply capitalize the word John. We start with capital letter J, and what we have is John with capital letter J wasn't at the seminar. Number 10, using adjective in place of noun. That is also another grammatical error because here you use the wrong word, you use the wrong word class in a wrong position in a sentence. You know, a sentence is made up of different components that are occupied by definite elements of sentence, what we call elements of sentence. Elements of sentence include subject, verb, object, complement, adjunct. All right, so and different word classes constitute these different sentence elements. You can look for a video lecture I uploaded which is which discusses actually the elements of the sentence structure. Now, for example, one example of using adjective in place of a noun is I can't see the difference between the two. You know, so this is a common error. Different is an adjective. You can talk of different things or different people, you know, or different places. That is as an adjective. But when you want to talk of the difference between one thing and another, is the other one with CE. But this one, which is different, is an adjective. So the noun form is difference, the difference. So to correct it, we say, I can't see the difference between the two. So it is wrong to say, I can't see the difference between the two. All right? Number 11, wrong use of compound adjectives. Wrong use of compound adjectives. For example, she registered for a 2-year course. You see, a 2-year course. This is incorrect because when you talk of a 2-year course, it is supposed to be hyphenated and the year should not be pluralized. So in this case, what we have is she registered for a 2-year course. And year is a compound noun where you have two hyphen year. So this compound is a compound adjective. Actually, it's a noun, but here it is used to modify the noun course, and is a compound adjective in the way it is used here, because we are no longer talking about 2 years, but we are talking of a 2-year course. All right, so she registered for a 2-year course. Number 12, misuse of uncountable nouns. You know, when you misuse uncountable nouns, then you make your sentence incorrect. For example, Do you have a free time? You know that time is uncountable. So when you add the indefinite article a, you singularize it as if you can count it. Do you have a free time? So that actually is incorrect. So to correct it, then you can use a partitive. If you really want to singularize or pluralize an uncountable noun, you use a partitive. And so you can say, do you have some free time? Do you have some free time? Because you cannot count time. So you use some. Number 13, wrong word order in questions. Wrong word order in questions. For example, what you are going to do now. What you are going to do now. This is an extreme grammatical error. And a lot of people, you hear a lot of people, although this is common among semi-illiterate users. All right, so you have to know that a question, which is an interrogative sentence in English, always begins with the verb, or the verb comes before the subject. So what you have is, what are you going to do now? What are you going to do now? All right, that's the correct version of it. Now let's look at number 14, which is using double superlative. This is also a common grammar error. For example, you hear people saying this is more better than the other one. You see, better is already a superlative, and it is wrong. All right, better is already a comparative, and then you now use it. So it is really not proper. When you want to compare one thing in terms of which one is good but the other one is better, then you use better. But when you add more to better, it is double superlative and it makes it incorrect. When people say she's the most prettiest girl, that is also incorrect. Or you hear people say this is worse than. No, you say it's worse than. You have bad, worse, worst. You have good, better, best. Then you have pretty, prettier, prettiest. But you don't have to double the superlative. Now, number 15, unnecessary and wrongly placed apostrophe in possessives. For example, hers, hers. When you want to talk, when you say the book is hers, so, and then when you put an apostrophe before s in hers, it is unnecessary and it's a wrongly placed apostrophe. This is actually is a possessive, but it doesn't require an apostrophe. Hers is simply H-E-R-S without apostrophe. The same thing applies to ours, O-U-R-S. You don't have to put apostrophe before S. The same thing applies to theirs, T-H-E-I-R-S. You don't have to put apostrophe before S. The house is theirs. The pen is yours. It's the dog. Okay. The dog had its leg bitten by the snake. Okay, so this, you don't have to put apostrophe before s in its leg. All right. The people's mandate, again, you already have, people is already plural. So when you now put s, of course, the apostrophe comes before s, not after s, because you will be giving double pluralization here, which is incorrect. The people's mandate. And the people's mandate here, apostrophe comes before S in people's. P-E-O-P-L-E apostrophe S. The same thing applies to children's shoes, all right? Children's shoes. Then number 16, wrong pluralization of uncountable nouns, for such as information. Some people, you hear some people say, I have an information for you. Information is an uncountable noun. It doesn't need S to pluralize. You can use partitives. You can say, I have some pieces of information for you, or I have some information for you, or simply, I have information for you. The same thing applies to advice. You don't say advices or an advice. Increasingly, you find a lot of people committing this grammar error. You often hear even people who are supposedly educated saying, I have an advice for you. That is ungrammatical because advice is uncountable. The same thing with furniture. You cannot say there are many furnitures in this house. No, there are many items of furniture or pieces of furniture in this house. All right? Then number 17, misplacing subject and object pronoun. For example, this should be shared equally between you and I. Of course, you know, by convention, when we always have the personal pronoun, the first person personal pronoun, we allow it to come last whenever we are using it in combination with other personal pronouns. So it is between you and me, of course, but the error here is I. I is a subject. You cannot say between you and I, all right? Because I is a subject, and it's what we have here is me. For instance, when we have the preposition, between is a preposition. If we use another preposition like to, you cannot say Mary wrote a letter to I. Does this sound grammatical? Certainly not. You must say Mary wrote a letter to me. So when you have another preposition between and then you have you, it must be me, which is the objective form. Again, it is wrong to say it is me who is to play next. No, it is wrong. You must say it is I who am to play next. Another example, Dad gave my sister and I some money. This is also incorrect because if we just eliminate my sister here, then we test the grammaticality of this sentence. Let's remove my sister and. We just remove it. And what we have left is Dad gave I some money. Does this sound grammatical? Certainly not. You can only say Dad gave me some money. So when you add sister here, what must follow is me. Dad gave my sister and me some money. Not Dad gave my sister and I some money. It's ungrammatical, but it's common among English speakers. Number 18, we have misplaced modifiers. For example, at 10, my aunt brought me to Lagos. At 10, my aunt brought me to Lagos. You see, now there is confusion here. Now, who was 10? Was it my aunt or was it I? All right. So you see, at 10, my aunt brought me to Lagos. Obviously, the intended meaning here is that I am the person who was 10 when my aunt brought me to Lagos. So this is misplaced modifier. And why is it misplaced? you know, this is the subject that this modifier is referring to. This modifier is not actually telling us about my aunt, it's telling us about me. So it should be placed close to the subject it modifies. So when we correct it, we have, when I was 10, my aunt brought me to Lagos. That's the correct thing. When I was 10, my aunt brought me to Lagos. Now, let's take another example of misplaced modifiers. Sleeping on the veranda, a scorpion bit me. Now, again, the confusion is, who was sleeping on the veranda? Was it the scorpion, or was it I who was sleeping on the veranda? So to correct it, again, we bring the modifier closer to the subject it is modifying. And what we have, which is correct, is, while I was sleeping on the veranda, a scorpion bit me. Number 19, sentence fragments. You know, when we use fragments that don't constitute a complete sentence, of course, that is also another grammar error. For example, John didn't attend the party, full stop, because he was sick. So these are fragments. You see, John didn't attend the party actually makes complete sense. Because he was sick is a subordinate clause and cannot stand on its own. So what can we do? To correct it, we can say, John didn't attend the party because he was sick. We join the two together. So avoid sentence fragments. Number 20 is what we call ambiguous antecedent. An antecedent is something that comes before something else. For example, grandma found the girl and she was very happy. Now the question is, who was happy? Who was very happy? Was it grandma or the girl? So you can see ambiguity there. You know, we call it ambiguous antecedent. Now we have to correct this so that we actually show who was exactly happy. Was it grandma or the girl? So when we correct it, what we have is, grandma was very happy when she found the girl. But when we say grandma found the girl and she was very happy, then it leaves room for confusion here, because the listener will be confused as to who was actually happy. Grandma found the girl quite all right. And who does she refer to? She certainly has an antecedent. Is grandma the antecedent of she or the girl? So that is what we call ambiguous antecedent. So to correct this, we can say grandma was very happy when she found the girl. All right? Then number 21 is mixing up similar words. That's another grammar error. Mixing up similar words. For example, the teacher impacted a lot of knowledge to us. Now, you often hear people confuse impacts with impacts. You know, we have two words here, two similar words. They sound similar, but they have different meanings. Impact is I-M-P-A-C-T, impact. Then impart is I-M-P-A-R-T. You impart knowledge. But the other impact is the effect something has on another. All right? All right. So when you say the teacher impacted a lot of knowledge to us, that's absolutely incorrect. Now, you can say the teacher imparted a lot of knowledge to us. Now, another example, the coronavirus is having a great impact on the economy. Again, you see the word impart, I-M-P-A-R-T, being used instead of impact. Because here, what we should say is that the coronavirus is having a great impact on the economy. Impact is when you impart knowledge. Impact is when something has effect on another thing. Now, other words frequently mixed up like this include affect and effect. You know, something can affect you, but something has some effect on another. So affect here is a verb, while effect is a noun. Then we have accept and accept, you know. Accept. Some people confuse this. You can accept an offer, but you can say that something happened except something else. You can say all the boys attended the party except Jack, you know. Then that is E-X-C-E-P-T, that is except, when you are talking of some odd thing out. But when you talk of accepting a proposal, accepting an offer, it is A-C-C-E-P-T. All right? So take note of these grammar errors and always avoid them so that you will always speak and write English correctly. Now, let's look at number 22, the last but not the least. Here we are looking at split infinitives. Of course, split infinitives is increasingly becoming, let me say, ineffective. It has been a grammar error always spotted, but these days it appears that convention is gradually normalizing it, you know. But let's look at what we mean by split infinitives here. I tried to quickly rush to the bank before going to work. In grammar books, you always find this spotted as a grammar error, but I must comment here that, you know, language is dynamic and language evolves over time. You know, a lot of expressions that were considered grammatically incorrect many decades ago have now entered the lexicon as grammatically correct expressions. And that, you know, underscores one feature of language, which is conventionality. You know, language actually is by convention, you know. Once members of the speech community have accepted an expression as correct usage, so be it, you know, and it becomes correct. All right? It becomes correct not because it is structurally correct, not because it is correct intrinsically or from whichever perspective you look at it, but simply because it has been accepted to be correct conventionally. All right? And this applies to, of course, what we call idiomatic expressions, you know, which is an expression accepted as, you know, meaningful among native speakers. For instance, when you say, I smell a rat, you are not talking of a real rat or something is fishy. There is no fish in that thing which is seen to be fishy. All right? Or when you say you let the cat out of the bag, of course, there was no cat in any bag. But these are expressions that have been accepted over time by the users of the language. And so, talking about split infinitives, you discover that majority of English users are using split infinitives. You know, I try to quickly rush to the bank before going to work. Now, going by traditional grammatical postulation. The writing is I wanted to rush quickly, which means the verb should come, before the what we call the adverb of manner. I wanted to rush quickly. But you hear people saying, I quickly rushed, I instantly did this, I immediately did this, So obviously, the issue of split infinitives is there in our grammar rules, but it is being flouted even by educated users. So these are the 22 grammar errors that we have been able to look at. Of course, there are many other grammar errors, but we have been able to cover 22 common grammar errors in English that will enable you to learn to speak and write English correctly. I hope you have learned a lot in this video lesson that will help you improve your English grammar. If you have enjoyed today's video, do like the video and share the video with your friends and relations. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, kindly do so. And remember to click on the bell icon so that whenever a new video is uploaded on this channel, you will be instantly notified. Once the next video goes live on the channel, you will be alerted, and you won't miss anything, any of the topics we upload on this channel. That's the essence of clicking on the bell icon. If you have any comments, any suggestions, any commendations, then you can leave them in the comments section below. Don't forget that these comments will be highly appreciated because they are highly valued on this channel. I want to say a big thank you to all of you there, my esteemed viewers and subscribers. I want to thank you immensely for having been of great support to this channel. Of course, we have recorded massive increase in our subscribers. This is a new channel, but it is growing rapidly, and that actually gives me the idea that a lot of people are getting to appreciate the enormous work we put into this channel in order to give value to our viewers and subscribers. I want to say a big thank you to all of you. Thank you for being part of today's video. See you in the next lesson. Bye.